Hello all loonies and normals, my name is Joe Silver, welcome to my channel. This week what I've decided to talk about is appropriate content for video games. Now I know a lot of you are going to say, well surely that's up to the developers to decide, isn't it? Well, it is. But what I'm talking about is my opinion on what I feel is and isn't appropriate. What I feel, why I will not play certain video games, basically, and why I feel certain video games are horrible. I mean, let's get the first one out of the way. These days there are more and more video games that are focusing on violence. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why? Why do we need that much violence in video games? Look, my favourite video game of all time is Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. This we know. And to some degree you could say that it is violent. But it is cartoony violence. It is, he doesn't use guns, he uses live ammo. Right? And by live I do mean alive. So in that respect, it's not so bad. What I'm talking about is the full blood and guts violence that we see these days, where you shoot somebody, they bleed. Not only do they bleed, but they bleed onto the camera so you can see the blood on the screen and the guts, and it's just, do we really need that? Is that really appropriate for children? Because at the end of the day, video games are for children. They are for young adults. People can say that they have age ratings for a reason. But as I talked about 2 weeks ago, how often do whiny parents give in to their children and allow them to play games that is clearly not appropriate? So you have to realise that video games are for children and will get into the hands of children even if they are not for children. So do we really need that level of detail in video games when they are violent? Do we really need violence in video games at all? Like I said, I know about Stranger's Wrath, and you can quote that all you want, because I will agree with you. But there is a big difference between that and Call of Duty, where you're killing people in such a violent manner that they bleed on screen. The big difference between that and maybe something like Fortnite or PUBG, again the same thing. Do we need that level of violence in video games? Cartoony is okay, because it is cartoony. Good grief, how many of us grew up watching Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and let's be fair, those cartoons were horribly violent if you took away the fact that it was cartoons and that nobody gets hurt in a cartoon. They were hitting each other, blowing each other up and shooting each other. And they were horribly violent if you took away the fact that in cartoons you can do that and nobody gets hurt because it's a kids show. And so cartoons are immune. So it's not. So you sort of look and say, well, it's not really, is it? Because it's cartoons, but it is really when you consider what they were doing to each other. But it was funny and it was humorous. So you kind of just sort of said, well, okay, that's fair enough. It's cartoony. And that's the thing with Stranger's Wrath in a way as well, is that in every case you've got the chance to take them alive. You can. And like I said, he's using animals in a cartoony way, so you can sort of put up with it. And you certainly don't see blood and guts everywhere, not like you do in some of the nastier games. So that's the first thing. The second thing is sexuality. Whether or not the sexuality is consensual, whether or not it is consensual, whether or not it is between a man and a woman, or a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, does it need to be there? In a video game, do you need to have them having sexual relations in any manner? Now, before all you gay people, all you LGBTs start coming out, I don't give a monkey's who you are, right? Let's make that clear. I don't care who you are. So long as you don't shove it in my face, I don't care who you are. That has always been my attitude. So I am not judging on your sexuality. What I am judging here is, do you really need it in a video game? Sexuality of any kind. Do you need it, right? Let's make that absolutely clear. Because I will tell you now, my opinion on sexuality is like your backside. We've all got one, but you don't want it shoved in your face. So let's make that clear for a start off. Secondly, do we need it in a video game at all? You know what the kind of thing I am talking about. You will be going along, you will play your video game, and then one character will be drawn to another. And then for some reason, some video games, not all, but some, will decide to go to a bedroom scene. The character will be drawn to another character, and the next thing you know, Mass Effect is a perfect example of this, by the way. There is a bedroom scene where even if it doesn't show everything, it shows enough for you to know exactly what's going on, and you look and you go, why? Really? I mean, there became a meme about Mass Effect 1 where I think they said games done in real life, and the joke was, let's bang, okay? Let's bang, okay? And that became a joke because that is how the game went. And my question is, do we really need this in a video game? Is this appropriate content for a child's game? Like I said, I don't care if it's between a man and a woman, or between a woman and a woman, or between a man and a man. That is ill material. The point is it appropriate for a video game? And it's worse, because at least in Mass Effect it is consensual. The person who you're doing it with wants you to do it. In fact, she puts in the work, most of the work from what I've seen, and it's like, I want it to happen. Okay? So it's consensual. The worst part is when video games start doing it where it is not consensual, where they start using rape in a video game. Now that is much worse. Do we need that in a video game? Absolutely not. Do men or women need that in real life? Do they, as hecky like? But certainly not in my video game. My version of a video game is something that is meant to entertain, and that is certainly not entertaining. Entertainment is meant to be entertaining. That has always been my opinion. So do we really need that in a video game? Do we heck? Do we absolutely heck? There was this big controversy over Tomb Raider where they said they used rape in that, and I will tell you now, I've seen the scene, and to me it looks more like he's trying to strangle and kill her. But even if the hint is there that it is actually that, and he prefers it rough, the fact of the matter is, do we need it? No. Do we heck? There is so many good games out there, so many games that you can play where they don't involve any of this, and they can have you in stitches. They can have you laughing till you've got tears coming down your eyes, and your parents are at the end of you telling you to shut up because they can't stand your laughing anymore. And there are games out there where they can be great puzzles and they can make you think until your brain hurts. And there are games out there where I could list all day the things that they are, and they don't involve any of this. They don't involve sexuality in any form. They don't involve violence in any form. And it's not just scenes of actual sex. I mean, that is the pit. But even the clothing sometimes of females during these games, you look and you go, huh? Like, you'll see scientists, instead of being dressed in all sciencey gear, you'll see these scientists dressed in miniskirts or something that's stupid, I don't know. Basically the clothing doesn't fit their job description anyway. And it's like, huh? What? And you can tell that actually they're just there to be eye candy because their breasts are practically falling out of their dresses. Their flipping skirts are more like belts. And as one actress I read in a paper once said, they put you in something in a dress that would make a good loincloth. And and it's like, do we need the clothing to be like that in a video game? Do we heck? Put her in some jeans and a flipping jumper. She'd be just fine. It is, at the end of the day, I don't care whether my video game player, the person that I play as in a video game, I don't care if it's male or female. If their gender has absolutely nothing to do with the story, I don't care what they are. Truly, I really don't. And so again, even when they aren't showing them actually flipping in bed together, doing things that, quite frankly, should never be put on a film or a video game. There's this hint that this character is a sexual character because she is wearing clothing that leaves very little to the imagination. And it's like, why? I mean, Overwatched, or as I call it, or Overwatch, I think even got into controversy with that because of how tight and sexualized the clothing was. And in that, you're not doing any of that. You don't even talk to each character. All you do in that is kill each other. Again, a whole nother discussion. Again, a whole nother reason of why. So, violence, sex, inappropriate clothing. Do we need this in our video game? I mean, I've already done a whole vlog on rants about GTA, but I'm going to go there again. Do we need breaking the law as an appropriate video game content, where you go and you steal cars, you kill people, murder them to get their car? Do we need it? No. I play Sly Cooper, and Sly Cooper is a thief in that. Again, but not only does he not steal from the innocent, he only steals from criminals. Which, okay, you can make a questionable discussion on whether or not that makes it any better. But again, it is all cartoony. There is nothing, nothing at all that says you go out and do this. And there is nothing in there that says that, nothing like that. It's all cartoony. So, my real point is, even if you have to have some of these subjects in there, although obviously I don't think you can make sex cartoony, because quite frankly sex just shouldn't be in a video game full stop. But if you do have to have things like violence in there, can you at least make it cartoon violence so that it's not so disgusting? Does it have to be full on graphic, I want to see the blood and guts spurt everywhere violence? And like I said, sex, don't have to have it in there at all. I really don't think you do. I don't give a monkey's what excuse you come up with for that. It just doesn't belong in my video game. It's not entertaining. It's just disgusting. It isn't long before they will come out with, if they haven't already, pornographic video games that will be rated adults only. In fact, I think there was one like that a long time ago, something about Custer, where the whole idea was a naked Custer had to get across to a maiden tied to a pole, and if he got to the maiden tied to a pole, he got to have sex with her. It was deemed so controversial that it was put as declared a pornographic game, and adults only could buy it. Which is an irony, because this game was very pixelated, so it was a bit hard to tell what was what, but clearly they felt it was clear enough what was going on. Because I think it was an 8-bit game. This is what I'm saying. We don't, you know, these sort of games are going to come around if they haven't already. I'm sure, in fact, I think they have. I think if you look at stuff like Leisure Suit Larry, they have already come around, and there is just no need for them whatsoever. Entertainment, to me, is entertaining. That is its very definition. And for me, a game that is entertaining is fun. It leaves you laughing, it leaves you absolutely happy, and when you beat it, you feel like you have had the most fun you have ever had. When you beat it, you feel like, yes, I really enjoyed that, and I came away feeling happy. It does not leave you in tears. It does not leave you scarred for life because you have seen things that you should never have seen at all. It does not leave you so angry that you want to kill somebody, kill the developers of this game because you can't believe they would dare to do that to you. It leaves you happy, it leaves you entertained, it leaves you feeling so joyous that you think, do you know what, I have had the best time of my life, I love that game and I will play it again. That is entertainment to me. And there are plenty of games that I play that cover that subject. But I will never watch or play GTA games because they are so disgusting. And like I said 2 weeks ago, I made a vlog on GTA, so I'm not going to cover the same ground. But I will never play that game and I will never watch it on stream. There are other games where they involve sexuality that I will never watch and I will never play. There is just certain things that is absolutely not required in a video game. There was a thing in the paper, I think it was in the paper or some sort of news item about Doki Doki Literature Club, I think it's called. There was something about there about how that game scared the living daylights out of a child and how children have committed suicide because of that game. Or I think that's what it said. I would have to double check on that, so don't quote me on that one. But either way, it definitely was talking about the horror of that game. And I know for a fact that that's a horrible game. You declare that you love one of the characters. I've seen this scene, by the way. And you declare that you love one of the characters and she responds with a knife to her own chest to kill herself. What the heck? Because that's another thing we don't need in video games, suicide. Don't need it in video games. It doesn't belong there. This is what I'm saying. There are so many horrible things that go on in the world. And video games are supposed to be your escape from these. Your escape from the horrible, disgusting things that go on in the world. We know these things go on in real life. And we know that the world is not all rainbows and unicorns. We're not stupid. But we don't need them in our video games. The video games are not there to remind us that the world is a horrible, disgusting place. They are there to help us to get away from such things. To spend a few hours in a fantasy world where things are rainbows and unicorns. Where things are nice and where you can do things that you can't do in real life. Where you can be a hero for a few hours. Where you can have the fun time of your life. Where, in my case, because of certain conditions that I have, I couldn't handle being married to somebody as much as I would love to. So I could go on The Sims and just for a few hours I could get that sim married and I could live that life. That is what video games are. They are the escape from reality. They are just for a few hours living a life you cannot live. Just for a few hours living in a world that is beautiful, that is fun, that it does not have horrible, disgusting things in it. And then the video game developers decide they want to put those horrible, disgusting things in our video games. No, please do not. It is not appropriate for a video game. It is not something I call entertaining. Please, just don't. Anyway, this has practically turned into a rant. But I am done. Now, I struggled, I'm going to be honest, I struggled for what to talk about this week. So please, if you have liked what you have seen, subscribe, like, and leave a comment. If you have ideas for what I can talk about next week, please leave a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. I am Joe Silver. This has been a vlog. Goodbye.